and I'm doing the 10:30 show for you all and doing some updates out of the USA. I know this is not Aaron Patterson, but hey, we get to have some fun, talk about true crime, and I get a break from court details for a couple of nights, which would be nice. Hey, good to see you all. Good to see you. Coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia this afternoon. Down here, it's almost 1 p.m. in Melbourne. And yeah, we can talk about some true crime. It's nice to be on the weekend today. Nice to be, didn't have to go to court today, which was nice. And I can hang out at home. Not have to go in today. You can just hang out here. It's a very cold day in Melbourne, very cold, and a bit of rain getting around down here this morning and stuff like that. Um, Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Hey, Lee T. We have so many Lees. We have a few of them. We have a few. Hey, Lee, how are you? Marilyn Landis, Rachel, Lynn D. Texas is here. Hey, my friend. Marilyn Landis, Laurie's here. Carolina was here at some point, and I'm sure more people will rock up as we continue. Everyone's like, give us the Aaron Patterson details. And I'm like, well, court's over for the week. I mean, there's not much more I can tell you. I think I told you guys the majority of everything, really. There's really not much more to talk to you about. I was going through all my sort of like notes and stuff this morning, reorganizing everything, and I didn't really see anything I really wanted to tell you about anyway. So nothing like groundbreaking or new or something that would be worth doing a show on right now anyway. Yeah, it's winter down here, so that's why I'm wearing the big warm hoodie right now. It's pretty cold down here. I don't know what it is right now. Hold on. It's like 12 degrees, so almost single digits. Probably the coldest weekend in Melbourne so far this year. It's been sort of a little up and down, and we're starting to just go down now. It's just no longer going back up to 30. We're starting to just go back the other way now. Starting to get real cold all the time. Mushroom break? Yeah, that's right. We get a bit of a mushroom break tonight. Yeah, I have. That's why I've got the really big, thick Puma jumper on tonight. The gold Puma jumper, nice and warm. So they wanted me to do this update for you, which was about these two missing kids out of Canada. I can't say I can give you anything more than say like what Grizzly gives you, but there is a couple of updates that have come out, as you can see, like 31 minutes ago. So we'll talk about it. Like the rest of you, I would like to know what happened to these children. It sounds a little weird to me. You know, anytime you have kids that go missing, in my opinion, and you can't verify it via a third party, I always worry that there's something else going on. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that it just seems odd. Not directed at the parents or anyone else. It just seems strange that no one can ever cite people, or no one saw them, somewhere that they could track them or something like that. I always worry that there's something else going on, rather than kids just walked off into the bushland and didn't come back. You would think that they would be able to find two children, tracks in the snow, scent dog, something. It just seems a little odd. But they're saying here that they're going to restart this search. Okay, well, I don't know what this update is. It got sent to me, but we'll play it and we'll talk about it.
These woods, scoured for a week without a trace of two missing kids, about to be examined again. Officials now confirming the search surrounding the home of Lily and Jack Sullivan will resume Saturday, likely as a recovery effort.
The county as a whole and the province as a whole, I think, need to know what happened in this case.
Police say the 4 and 6-year-olds wandered away 2 weeks ago and said they had no evidence the children were abducted. But RCMP didn't announce the involvement of the Major Crimes Unit until days after it was brought in, nor that it hadn't ruled out that the disappearance was suspicious.
RCMP declined an interview request and would not answer our questions about the case. For instance, it isn't clear why investigators are so certain the children were not abducted, and officials have not said whether they know who, other than their family, was last with the kids.
Now, after dozens of police interviews and more than 180 tips from the public, still no answers.
It just it doesn't add up at many levels.
This criminologist questioning the way RCMP are sharing information about the case, relying on the public for tips, but giving few details.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good point. Normally, when you have these any type of missing person investigation, the normal course of action is to get as much information into the public domain as possible, as quickly as possible, because days mean things change, especially if you think they're out there. If you think they're out there and alive, things change daily, hourly, by the minute, and the more information you can get out there, the more people that can help find them, right? And the tight-lippedness of the RCMP is a very interesting strategy, along with the fact that they're saying that they won't confirm, well, anything really. They're just telling us that 2 kids are missing. It's, I don't know. It just, maybe they know something we don't know. Rachel said maybe they knew who took them. Possibly. I find it interesting that they said that the search tomorrow, so it'll be tomorrow for you guys, it's Saturday here already, that they're looking at it as a recovery operation. Why? Why do they think it's a recovery operation? That's always odd. Now, that could be due to length of time. They may know that kids out stuck outdoors between 72 hours and, I don't know, 96 hours wouldn't survive. That's quite possible. There's normally like a time frame they have where they're like, after this point, it's a point of no survival. They do this in a lot of different recovery or rescue operations. So at first it'll start as a recovery, and then they get to a certain time frame, and they're just like, from now on, it's a recovery operation, not a rescue operation. So I don't know if that's why they're using that wording, or they have a feeling they know where they are. Gayla says, I've been listening to nothing had went and reloaded. Okay. Marlene said, too many days have passed even for an adult. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty cold. Wait, summer up there, right? What's the temperature up there right now? Is it still cold? Where are they? There, Lansdowne Station. It's rural, 140 kilometers northeast of Halifax. Canada temperatures. What does it tell me on the weather network? Okay, interesting. It's actually very similar weather out there right now to what we've got here in Melbourne. They've got a high of 18 and a low of 7 degrees, not Fahrenheit. So very similar to Melbourne, Australia right now, actually. Not crazy cold overnight, but cold enough. Cold enough that a little kid would probably struggle. Like little kids would struggle in single degree temperatures. An adult might last a bit longer, but those temperatures bite at you. Like if you're out there for a long time, they'll just wear you down very, very quickly. It's spring. Yeah, so you guys are the opposite of us. We are in fall right now. Maria said when they first notified the public about scaling back the search, they noted likely not survive the wilderness. Why are they so sure they're in the wilderness? That's what I would like to know. Why are they so 100% sure they're out there? What information do they have that tells them that? James said this case is suspicious. Yeah, I mean, anytime you deal with a rural setting, you always have a lot of things that you don't have in the city. So when you're in the city, you have like a lot of technology advantages, cell phone towers, CCTV, stuff like that, where it makes tracking people a lot easier. And when you go into a rural setting, it makes it a lot harder because you have like these voids of technology advantage that aren't out there. And I would say they are probably dealing with at least partially that as well. Lee said, I wish so much this case could turn out like the 2-year-old in Arizona. Yeah, that 2-year-old that was found by the dog, and the dog walked them all the way back to the property. That was amazing. I love that story. Big old dog, big old working dog, and just found a kid and was like, "Follow me." He's like, "Woof, this way." and the little kid followed him all the way back to the house, and they rescued the little kid. One of the best stories I've ever read on this channel. To me, I hope it turns out like that. That'd be great. The woods are very dense. Let's have a look. Where is it? Lansdowne Station. Look, I don't know the exact. I'm coming in a little bit cold, guys, because I've been stuck in court for a month. So I'm doing this as a favor to Trish. I'm doing the show, so you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit. So I can take you out here and have a look. Yeah, so Pigtail or Pictou or whatever, that's the area. I mean, it sort of looks like, you know, country Canada. You have these forested areas, and then you have areas of deforestation. They're pretty common too. I mean, there's some big areas out here, like big bodies of water too. That's always a worry. If you zoom out, yeah, it is a lot of tree land, a lot of forest. I don't know if it's like, I mean, it would make this would be hard, what they call like hard search terrain, because you don't have a lot of break-in canopy. So if there's two little kids under here somewhere, it'd be very hard to use a helicopter to try and find them, even with a thermal camera. When you have a really dense canopy like this, it really messes with the thermal cameras. You need something that's open like this. You can still do it, but it's a lot harder. It's not as easy as if you have like a low density area. Yeah, even the maps aren't good out here. But yeah, there you go. You guys can see the sort of stuff they're dealing with. A lot of forested area. So yeah, it's not great search area, no. Beaufort, is that the actual the town I have on here is Lansdowne Station. Hold on. Yeah, it says to me that, or maybe that's somewhere else, but yeah, it says Lansdowne. Yeah, here it says Lily Sullivan and her brother Jack been missing since May 2nd when police received a 911 call reporting that the siblings had wandered away from their home in Lansdowne Station, a rural area 140 kilometers northeast of Halifax. So if the other town is, if the closest town is the one that you just said. Oh, the dog's name is Beaufort. Yes, the big dog from Arizona. Yeah, sorry. You got me confused. Yeah, his name was Beaufort, the big giant sheepdog. Had hard for drones too. Any type of air surveillance would be very, very hard. But you do have these breaks in coverage. Like you see, you have these deforested areas. I don't know if it's from bushfire or logging or whatever, but there is some break in cover. It's not great area though for searching for two little kids. And then you do have some water areas too. If you zoom out, we go a little further north. You got these big bodies of water too. I think they said they already sent divers into some of these waterways, but like look at that, the Lansdowne Lake. That looks like a giant body of water. So that whenever I see water and children missing, I always worry because we found so many kids in waterways over the years that it's always a worry. Marjorie said, very forested. I was out there last summer. It does look like it is like a logging national park, you know, rural type Canadian area. Nova Scotia, very lush and beautiful. It is very beautiful. It would be much more beautiful if two kids weren't missing out there. All right, I'll play the rest of the video for you.
Based on appearances, this went in the wrong direction early on, and key momentum and leads were lost when they were out in the fields looking for kids that maybe were never there.
This expert is zeroing in on other aspects of the disappearance, like school being closed, then the kids being homesick the following day.
The 2 days unaccounted before the missingness is just a red flag.
But for this worried community, what's top of mind now is that the search is resuming, whether for rescue or recovery. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
Here's a quote from someone at the RCMP, and they say, "If we thought they were alive right now, we'd still be out there." That's not the statement you want from the RCMP, is it? And they say in a news release on Tuesday, that was a many days ago, the RCMP said they are following up on more than 180 tips from members of the public and exploring all avenues in the missing person investigation. The Mountie said 35 people have been identified for formal interviews as part of the investigation, including community members and those closest to the children. RCMP also confirmed that an underwater recovery team searched lakes around Lansdowne Station on May 8th and 9th and did not recover any evidence. They said, "We have officers from multiple disciplines dedicated to finding Lily and Jack, including highly trained RCMP major crime and forensic investigators." Daniel Martell, the stepfather of the children, says he believes Lily and Jack slipped out of their sliding back door while he and the mother were in the bedroom with their 1-year-old daughter. I mean, I guess. In the days after the disappearance, Martell remained at the home, receiving daily updates from the search and rescue officials and speaking to reporters who descended on the area. He has repeatedly said that he believes the children were abducted, but RCMP said there is no evidence of that, so no evidence of an abduction. And then it says here the child's mother, Malaya, is that how you pronounce her name? Malaya? Left the area after the disappearance with their 1-year-old to be with her family in another part of the province. Look, I don't want to bash a mother with missing children, and I get how bad media scrutiny can be. I've spent 4 weeks in the middle of a media pack myself, and every day going to court, I have to walk through reporters and cameras and photographers and people doing live crosses and stuff like that. I can't imagine if that was outside of your home, but I say it's a little strange. Have they brought in cadaver dogs? I would say that if they think this tomorrow, Saturday, is a recovery mission, they might do something like that. Maybe that's why they think it's, one, the time frame, but two, maybe they're going to bring in cadaver dogs to lead the way tomorrow. Possibly, I haven't heard anything, but Carolina says same name as Johnny Depp's children. You know what's funny? I was speaking to Insightful One, Stacy, before I did the show, and we were talking about the name because depending on what media source you go to, is depending how they spell the little girl's name. Some people spell it Lily, and some people spell it Lilly. And then Stacy picked up that it was Lily and Jack, the same as Johnny Depp's children. And I was like, I don't know who Johnny Depp's children are, but I believe you. I believe you. So you and Stacy think alike. Blaze says, but they can't find any bodies, so until they are found, it's drowned or kidnapped. I don't think any police in the world would ever close off a line of inquiry until they had proof. So even if they're not publicly saying it, they may internally think that they're out there or something and they're not alive. But if something came up that led them in a different direction, they're like, hey, whoa, there's a gun here or something, like, oh, tire tracks. They're not going to be like, yeah, no, they definitely just wandered out here on their own and just died. No, they're obviously going to investigate that avenue of inquiry. So I just think maybe they just don't have a ton of information other than what they've been able to dig up in the local area. Marylander says, my grandson's name is Jack. I think it's a common name. I think I've heard it a few times in my life in 40 years on this earth. I think I've met a few people called that. Yeah, seems like a common name. Wendy R says it does not sound good. I don't know. Well, anytime you use the word recovery instead of rescue, I don't know how you're supposed to get positive news out of that. Hey, Kat, how are you? Morning from the UK, can't sleep. Glad to see you doing a live that's not mushroom based. I know. That's why I thought I'd come on tonight. We sort of hang out. We'll all get to relax a little bit for the weekend and just sort of talk true crime and chat and stuff like that, because we've had a lot of mushroom data. Over the last few weeks. I think it's been mushroom mania for about 3 weeks so far. So I look forward to getting back to my normal shows. I look forward to getting back to doing this type of stuff every night. But it's something I needed to do, which was go to this trial. So Lee says, do you ever watch Channel 7 Sunrise? Josh Ritter was on there last week. They called him for the Menendez brothers Small World. I don't watch traditional media. I really barely watch TV. I can't tell you the last time I watched a TV channel. I mean, unless it's a news update or something like that, but I don't watch like morning TV or something. I just don't do it. I don't find the need to watch it. But interesting. I'll tell you that covering the mushroom trial, I've had a lot of interest from media here too. I haven't agreed to anything with anyone as of yet, but I have had some inquiries. It's mostly because we can't talk about it. So even if a media company wanted to pick me up and bring me on their show and talk about Aaron Patterson, I can't do it. I mean, I could go on there and tell them facts about the trial, but I can't give them anything interesting for their TV show, because I can't be like, I thought this and this is what I felt. I can't do it. I'm not allowed to. So it's sort of boring. I don't think they want to talk to me just yet. But I've had some inquiries, some interest from, actually, I think one of them was Channel 7. So maybe after the trial. I watch all your. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Actually, the trial coverage has been doing really well. We've had high viewership. We've got 157 new subscribers. I appreciate it. Hello to all the people out there that have recently subscribed to the channel. I very much appreciate it. I think we're like 10 people away from 1,400, and then we'll be on the journey to 1,500 subscribers. So I appreciate it. If you've clicked that subscribe button in the last few days, you have my personal thank you. I appreciate it. Lee says, I don't watch regular TV either. Me either. I don't, unless it's for news or something like that. All right. Let me see what else I can find on these children. I should have contacted Grizzly. She'd know all about this. She's very clever. She'd know all about it. Let me see. Yeah. They say expert points to abnormalities. Actually, here you go. This looks like a search map in the background. If you remember Sebastian Rogers, they had a similar map like this where they were searching, and they were I can't see any aeroplane tracks on here, but this is a similar map that they had. There's some photos of the two of them too. Actually, let me put that up. That's a nice photo of the two of them. There you go. It's a nice photo of them. What do they say here? Expert points to abnormalities or, anomalies. They say 2 weeks after two young siblings vanished without a trace in rural Nova Scotia, experts are pointing to abnormalities in what they say is an unprecedented case that deviates from a typical missing children investigation. I don't know if it deviates as such. I think that's a very harsh word to use. There are no typical. When you're looking at a missing person case, there is no typical. Everyone does different things in their life, right? So if I went missing, I would do very different things to what you would do. So it's not typical. There is no typical in a missing person investigation. They're all different and they all have their unique set of circumstances. And I think that's a very poor wording from, who is this? CBC. I think that's poor wording and sensationalism. They're saying here that Lily and her brother Jack have been missing since May 2nd. That's when police received that 911 call. Wait, is that the same article? Yeah. Okay. I thought we may have got put on a different article. They say the Nova Scotia RCMP then launched a search that included ground search and rescue officials, dog teams, there you go, drones and helicopters. But after 6 days of scouring the heavily wooded area surrounding the home, there was no sign of the children and the search was called off. Police have said they do not believe the children were abducted, but have not ruled out that the case is suspicious. It's not a good not a good thing. Anyway, the person they interviewed was Michelle Genus, an associate professor in criminal justice department of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And they say the facts of the case and apparent lack of evidence make it an anomaly. Not really. They say it doesn't meet a whole lot of the normal criteria for what we'd see in these type of cases. They're children. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to have a mobile phone and text where they are so you can use cell phone data and GPS? They're kids. Like, I get why you might say it's different from a teenager. A teenager would have a phone most likely, and that would leave you some evidence to conduct a search or narrow down an area. But they're children, like little kids. What are they going to do? Drive a car? They don't have ID. They don't have like a driver's license that you can track. They don't have a rego that you can follow. So, not an anomaly. Not in Ping's opinion, anyway. They said, yeah, usually there's some evidence. Okay. They said a few details stand out to her as unusual, including the children's absence from school that week. Well, that's odd. And they said the children's stepfather, Daniel, told CBC News the children were not in school on Thursday or Friday, the morning of the disappearance, due to illness. They were also not at school on Wednesday due to a professional development day. Ping would tell you to go back. You go back till Tuesday, most likely, and you start your investigation there. Not Wednesday, not Thursday, not Friday, the day they went missing. You go back to Tuesday. Same as Sebastian Rogers. You go back to the last, well, I don't know if that is the last day, but whatever the last verifiable sighting of the children are, you go back there. You don't start on Friday. You go all the way back. Same with Sebastian. When he was seen at that shop with his mom, that's like the last verifiable third-party sighting of Sebastian. You go all the way back there, and that's where your investigation has to begin. It doesn't begin on the day they get reported missing because you don't know who's involved. You go back to where someone outside of the family, someone independent can say, hey, I saw those children. That's where your investigation has to begin. All right. What else do they tell us? What else does she want to tell us? She says it could just be incredibly bad timing that they had 48 hours unaccounted for before the disappearance. But that's just one of the things that stands out in my head. You and every other true crime person on the planet, anyone who visits a true crime channel every night is thinking the same thing, and they don't have a degree. I'm glad you brought us that very important information that none of us could figure out on our own. They say police will not say if anyone else had contact or saw the children in the days leading up to the day they went missing. Well, that would be good information to know. She goes on to say she believes police should be considering whether a person played a part. She says in a stereotypical kidnapping by a stranger, the offender doesn't usually target a specific child or children. They create a plan and whoever it is in the environment at the time falls victim. Although I would say we have seen sexual predators like PDF files. They have become enamored with victims before and abducted like certain children that they become wrapped up in. They become obsessed with. So maybe that doesn't account for like 98% of the whatever, but that has happened. And she says, if it was a stereotypical stranger kidnapping, it would have had to been someone who said, I want those kids in particular. See, there you go. And they say Nova Scotia RCMP said on Tuesday they are following up on 180 tips. Okay, I'm glad we all know that. All right, I want to play this little video from CBC if it'll play. Oh, good work, team.
Nova Scotia disappeared from their rural home. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan are thought to have wandered away while their parents were in bed. And since then, dozens of searchers and a team of police have been working the case. Brett Ruskin is in Lansdowne Station for us this morning. Brett, we haven't heard a lot about the search in recent days, so would you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, Linda. So we are at the 2-week mark since these children disappeared. So 2 weeks, 2 children, 0 clues about what may have happened to them. There was an extensive, exhaustive search in the woods behind me here in this whole area. In fact, more than 160 volunteer ground search and rescue crews who were on the ground searching various areas. There were dogs brought in to try to catch any kind of a scent of these missing kids. There were helicopters rumbling through the air last week. There were drones in the air day and night looking for any sign of these kids, but really nothing has been turned up. No clues, no evidence as to what may have happened to them. So this case has garnered all kinds of international attention from people online, from international media outlets. Here is one criminology professor from the University of Louisiana talking about a case and a search like this. Have a listen.
I think it puts us kind of back in time regarding risk. These cell phones that we carry around, we think keep us a lot safer. We can track them, and now we don't sort of have that here. We also don't have that close connection of immediate people who can go out and hurry up and scan this small area, right? It's rural. There's lots of areas to search. There's not the go-to town center sort of thing where we can convene. So really the environment created, I think, a lot of disadvantage for this.
I find it funny that I've never watched this video before. I just played it because it was on the page. And I find it funny she basically is parroting what I just told you. I find that a little funny. I'm not going to play the rest of it because I've already told you all that. Texas says, what about wildlife in the area? It's Nova Scotia, so there'd be bears, right? There'd be black bear, brown bear, most likely. Am I right about that? There'd have to be bears in that area. Marjorie said, how would a random stranger know they were home and not at school? Sounds very bad. Yeah, I don't think it's a stranger abduction. They would have to it'd be one of those moments where they cross paths with a predator like right at the same time, some sort of like once in a blue moon thing in a rural town where the child population is smaller than a city. It'd be very strange. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be that common. Marlene said, I bet the police had a hard time finding this trailer. It looked very remote. It does look pretty remote. Hang on, can we go back? Yeah, let's get away from this Louisiana. And let's go this way. Is there any overview? I mean, you can see behind him. I mean, that's the kind of search terrain they have. It's pretty dense. There's the search teams. There's the helicopter. Yeah, I'll go back. I'll skip her. I'm sort of over her.
Inhospitable. There's plenty of trees down from a hurricane a few years back. The woods are filled with ticks. You take a couple of steps off the roadway and your pant legs are covered with them. There are bugs in the air, thick clouds of bugs you might be able to see on the screen. So not great conditions for the search, not great conditions if the kids are still out there waiting to be found. Linda.
And you painted such a vivid picture of the challenges of police investigators in keeping this investigation going. What are they saying about their efforts to keep looking for these children?
Yeah, well, police say that the search efforts have been scaled back, but they are not giving up yet. The investigation is still underway, looking into and following up on more than 180 tips that have come in from the general public, from members of the public, and conducting 35 different interviews with people who are close to the kids, whether it be relatives, friends, neighbors, members of the community, talking with them, trying to collect information. Many of those interviews have already concluded. There are still some that the police still have to do in the days and weeks ahead, but they say that they haven't given up hope and that there has been no sign of any kind of an abduction, any clues that someone may have taken these kids. So
You saw on that footage, you saw the helicopter and the drone. I will say that there was a kid that went missing in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure it was like 2 months ago. Couldn't find him for like, it was like over a week, a couple of weeks. And he lived onto the back of that river and they found him in the river. But for like 2 weeks, they're like, oh, it could be a van. We saw a van that was near there. And like maybe he was abducted. No, he was in the river the whole time. And I'm not saying these children are. I'm just saying it's just funny how these investigations sometimes pan out. Seems to be the simplest explanation tends to be the most correct. And it was for that one. Like I covered it a couple of times. I was like, just check the river, just keep checking the river. A little kid that ran out of his house, probably not abducted by someone in a van, but there's a giant river next to his home. Runs very fast, got heaps of cubic meters of water, and they found him in the river like 2 weeks later. So just sometimes with these things, it's the simple answer is what it is. Yeah, you could see the bugs. Hey Kent, how are you? It's rural, but it's a secondary highway. Lots of gravel trucks passing. We've heard a lot of truck drivers over the years about abductions, but most of the truck driver information I have about abductions are not for children. They're for grown or teenage girls, is what I normally hear about. Ken says last update as of 6 p.m. local tonight, which is right now, is midnight. That search is an RCMP. Yeah, so we did hear that the search will open up again tomorrow, but they're calling it a recovery operation, not a rescue operation, which means they believe they are looking for 2 bodies, unfortunately. Lee said, I just checked. There's only been 2 black bear attacks since 2010 in Nova Scotia. They avoid people. I can't say I've ever seen a black bear, so you would know better than me. Kaliza said they found a 2-year-old miles away in the desert a few weeks ago. Yeah, the dog, Beaufort. We talked about him before. Blaze says, one of my 3 sons would constantly just walk away and keep going. I had to lock up everything before I went to the restroom. 2 times he stood on a chair and knocked the chain lock off. He was bad. Some kids are like Houdini. Some kids are just so good at getting out of their homes, their room, their crib, everything. They're just like Houdini. But I find it strange. Normally, that might be a single child, like a little kid gets out. We've seen a lot of those type of cases, but 2 children, not as often. Not as often with like a brother and sister. It doesn't happen super common. It's normally like one kid gets out, either is found or unfortunately found in water. That we had a run last summer in America. I swear, like every 3 days, we were getting a story about a kid on the spectrum who had got out of their home and was found in water, like a lake, a freaking irrigation canal, just any type of water near their home, and they all unfortunately died, except for one kid they found. They found this little kid, like 3 years old, like floating in water, and the cop had to go like 100 meters out and rescue the kid and bring him back, and they somehow got him back alive. But there was all these stories last summer of neurodivergent children who had got out of their homes. I'm not saying these 2 are neurodivergent. I'm just saying that we had a lot of them last year. So, but they were like single children. That's what I'm trying to say. Not 2 kids. 2 kids very odd, especially a brother and a sister. And that the fact, so normally what happens if 2 kids get out like this, what'll happen sometimes is that the kids will end up getting separated somehow, and then one kid will get found by a member of the public and say, "Hey, my brother's over there," or "My sister is in there," and then you start the search operation eventually. Or they find one and not the other, and then they find the other one later. But we haven't seen any of that. Like, there's no been like, "Oh, they found the little girl. Now we've got to look for the brother," or whatever. Like, we're not seeing anything like that. Just that these 2 kids are still gone. So Rachel said the little girl had a backpack. Maybe she was trying to go to school. How far away? What school did they go to? Do they have it on here? Hold on. Let me look it up. How far away would their school be? School. I don't know if that information has been released. I don't see it, but yeah. Salt Springs Elementary is the school. Salt Spring Elementary. All right, let's have a look. Where is this? It's in Pictou County. All right, so I don't know I actually don't know their address, but that is the elementary school right here. You got the highway right here. So if we zoom out, where is their town? How far away did they travel to school? Oh, there's Pictou over here. I don't know if they're up on the water here. I'm not sure, but that's the school. Oh, Lansdowne Station here. Wow, I don't know. You reckon a kid could do that? I don't know what part of this town they lived in, but they said they reckon they already searched this water right here. If they had to get to that school, that's a pretty what does it say on my thing? 2 miles is about that far. Like 8 mile? Like 8 mile, maybe more? Maybe like 8 miles away, 10 miles if you by the crow, by the way the bird flies between the two. That's a hell of a distance if a small child tried to walk that. I think an adult would have issues trying to walk that terrain for 8 or 10 miles. That'd be yeah. 14. Yeah, it sounds about right. Like you can see I was guessing based on that little thing in the corner, but yeah, 8, 10, 14. That's a long way. I mean, maybe they tried to walk. Hey Jane, how are you? Good to see you. Did they have a party before they went missing? Didn't any people there see them? They're saying that they're not confirming if anyone saw them or. Hold on, my cat's being silly. Hold on. Sorry about that. My big fluffy cat is very naughty. I do too. I mean, it's hard when the RCMP are already calling it a recovery operation to have a lot of like hope. But until they're found, I guess we can all keep some hope that this is one of those one in a miracle sort of things. And they're like, oh my God, we found them. They're all alive. They've been hiding in a cabin, scared, but somehow they survived from the cold and they found food in the cabin like that. I mean, it'd be a 1 in a million shot, but we all hope that they found. 12.2 miles is not a lot in a rural area. Yeah, but to a child it is. To a child, I don't know many children that go walking for 12 miles to get to school. It's not the 20s where they're like, I have to wear no shoes and I walk to school 45 miles there and back every day. The kids these days are soft because they don't walk to school. I'm sure most kids either get dropped off or have some sort of bus, like community bus or something like that. Gairloch Road. Let me have a look. Let me look on my map and see if I can find it. Gairloch. Well, that's that road that runs right through the center of town. Yeah, it's right here. So, yeah, it's still the same distance because there's Lansdowne Station and there's Salt Springs Elementary right here. So, is there a road they could follow if they wanted to? It looks like they. You could, but I don't know if a child would be able to do this. Like, there are tracks and things that go through the back here where you can get up onto other roads like Fraser Road, Millbrook Road, and then get up into where the school is located up here. But I don't know if a child would know how to do that. I don't know. But maybe. Ken says, not in my opinion. I say one kid was an accident, and whatever they did to the other kid, it's to cover up what happened to the first kid. Very possibly. Very possibly. Often when you have these type of things, they snowball because, yeah, we all know why. Chipmunk says, I'm always shocked when they stop at each block, like you can't walk a block. That is true. So if they had taken the bus before to school, then I don't think they would walk it, right? Because they would know that you can go take the yellow bus and go to school. They wouldn't be like, let's walk 15 miles, although I don't think like a child, so I don't know what they think, but I wouldn't think they would try. Marlene said, well, all the people looking for them, if they were ever found on the road, yeah, they would have already searched all the roads. The bus trip's about 20k. Going the long way? Yeah. It's not that far. I mean, it's like half an hour. Rachel said, it does seem strange that they haven't found any articles of clothing, especially when you have two. If you had one, you could sort of be like, wow, maybe he wandered into the woods and they can't find them. When you have two, you think, I know for a fact, probably eventually they'd probably get separated, even momentarily, and you'd be able to find something. It's odd that they can't find anything, or at least not right now. Maybe tomorrow, maybe they have an idea of where to search as well. Because what did they say in that article? If we knew they were still alive out there, we'd search for them. Well, why are you opening up the search again tomorrow? What information did you receive that has narrowed down your search area? So normally they'll only go back into these searches if they get some sort of prominent information that can reduce their search area to some smaller area where they can actually search it and clear it. So what information did they get? Ken says, so far I've infused, they were more than brother and sister. They were best friends, and kids say the darndest things sometimes. Well, we've seen in other cases where kids have dobbed on mum and dad before. Texas Roadrunner said, have they said what the parents do? Were they both home, one stay at home? I don't think I heard anything. I mean, like I said, guys, I've been trapped in a trial for 3 weeks, so my knowledge on a lot of this is very slow. Let me see. Apparently their mother, and they have a baby sister too. I'm not going to give her name unless it's common knowledge, but it starts with an M. And they moved to the community about 2 years ago. Yeah, Gairloch Road is where they're from. Unless I'm just trying to see if there's anything about their parents here. Give me a sec. I'm just going to check here. You know, I think anytime you call off like school for kids, especially when you have two of them, is strange. But you know, I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I don't see anything unless someone posted in the chat. I don't see anything. But I can tell you that the RCMP is very much like the Australian police, where during their investigations you hear not a lot until they go to court, and that's sort of what we're dealing with here. We heard nothing about Aaron Patterson for like 2 years, and as soon as we get into court, we hear everything. So, he works at the sawmill. Thanks, Sherry. At a sawmill. Okay, I don't know what that would have to do with anything. Rachel said it's mom and stepdad, and the stepdad's mom owns and lives on the property. Okay. Okay, well, that makes sense. They got 3 children. I mean, that's a lot of work for mom. It's a lot of work for mom, you know. Having the little baby that starts with them and then the 2 older ones, that's a lot of work for mommy. So maybe she needs a hand. That's maybe why dad only works 2 days a week at the sawmill, because mum needs some extra help. I could understand that. Missing children from both parents. No, I think it's just the only the small one is from both parents, right? I mean the stepdad and the mum. It's only the little baby. The 2 older ones have a different father, as far as Ping knows. The probably should be condemned. Look, I don't want to. I don't want to bash someone for where they live. Does it look like somewhere that's safe for a child? Maybe not. But in these rural type areas, people live in all sorts of structures. And I don't think, you know, people do what they can, right? And they live where they have opportunity. So as someone who has lived in many different structures in my life, I don't feel good about being, just people just live where they can. Housing's hard, and I don't want to negatively portray them for where they live. But I get what you mean. It's probably not a safe place for children. It's probably not a good place for kids to grow up. But Khaleesa said it's sad. Sometimes the older kids get ignored a bit when mum and new stepdad have a new baby. I think that's pretty common. I think sometimes the older children can sometimes either perceive or actually feel like they're not getting the same attention they did before the little baby came along, because babies need a lot of attention. So it could be. Yeah, the summer wells. It's almost similar, just in Canada, right? Except that we have 2 children, but it was very rural. They came from a place that wasn't exactly, up to standard. Hell, I don't think I have a photo of it. This is a elementary school. I don't think they live at the elementary school. I don't actually have their other address. I know it's on the road down here, but I don't have the actual number. It's this road, right? No, it's the other one. Ping's lost his bearings. Hold on. It's down here. Is it that one? No, that's Sanctuary. I don't know. I'll find it if we have to, but I don't have the actual address. I know it's on that Gairloch Road. Hold on. I'll look up a photo. Home. Do we have a photo of their home? Oh, yeah. It looks like a tin roof sort of shack thing. Yeah. I mean, there's probably I've seen a lot of structures like this in Canada and Alaska. In Canada and Alaska, this type of thing is pretty common, especially these type of homes that are almost like what you'd call like homemade or homestead like living. That homestead type thing is pretty common in a lot of rural areas, especially in the northern parts of North America and Canada. This type of what they call homestead living, it's pretty widespread. Not as much as it used to be, but there's still people that live like that. That there's a sort of like not self-sufficient, but they make things themselves, live in structures like this. I've seen a lot of that before. Ah. Marlene says, we used to play outside until the street lights came home. Did you also walk 40 miles to school in the snow with no shoes? I don't know. I'm not sure if she has a partner. Yeah, I think they said the RCMP said that they've been told not to talk to anyone. That could be why that some of the family are not talking. I saw it in a quote here from before that said RCMP had told the family not to talk to media. So that may be why we've not heard anything, is because they've been told not to talk outside of police. Probably not to cause hysteria and more, well, what we're doing right now. More true crime stuff on YouTube. The front of the property, there is an old abandoned child's play place shut down. There's a lot of rural places that seem to be devoid of money or investment, and it seems to be something that is happening, or not happening, but being noticed more and more, that these places are not having the investment or opportunities that some other places are having. It's one, very sad, because I think we need our rural areas, and I think they need to survive, because otherwise what are we all going to do, live in the city? Like, no, we can't all live in the city because there's not enough room as it is. We need some people to live out in the country, but the opportunities also need to be there so people can fund their life and make a living, make their properties better, that type of thing. It's sort of like a catch-22. Keep zooming. No, I can't. That is the photo. It's not a map. I'll keep zooming. I'm not sure where you want me to go. It's just a photo, my friend. It's not a map. It's not the Googles. It's not the Googles. It's just it's just a photo. There is no more to zoom. See? It's just a photo. I don't have the rest of it. It's just one photo. 1407, is that the on that road? Thanks. I'll have a look. 1407. Yeah, give me a sec. I'll pull it up. All right. Actually, give me a sec. I'll flick over to the other panel. All right, there we go. Let me get this up for you. No, don't do that. 1407 Hollow Road. Sort of don't want that. Yeah, go to here. All right. The quality of the maps are not very good, because normally you should be able to zoom in much further than this, but when was this taken? 2025 by Google? I'm not sure about that. This looks like something from 2008, because there's no clarity there, but you can sort of see it. Can we go here? This is what it says, 1407. There's the front view of it. As long as I got that number right, I did. Thank you, Kent. I appreciate it. That's the front of it. Yep, 1407 there. So I don't know if there's anything else around here. If you went down here, where would it take you? Nowhere. Into bushland. There's like not even other roads. It's just one road. Gairloch Road. Oh, there's the one here. Can we go this way? I wanted to see. Is that private property maybe? No, it's a road. It's got a signpost. I don't know why it won't let us go down here. Look. It won't let us go. Yeah, here you go. You guys can see some of the dense bushland. Like if there was kids in here, geez, they could be right there. You wouldn't even know. It's so dense. But yeah, let's go back up here to the property. I mean, it is fairly isolated. It's not like they have a neighbor right here, where if the kids were running around outside, you might see them, I guess. But there's the property, and the looks like a wood storage thing out the back, like for firewood. So there you go. There's a house. I don't think that looks like a trailer home, like a trailer that's been adapted into a home. They've built this add-on and then a porch on it. That's what it looks like. Trailer home. It is pretty close to the road. Only about what, like 150 feet or something like that. Ken says we've lost a lot of our industrial jobs in the past 5 years. Yeah, I feel sad to all the rural places that are going through that type of like turn downs, where they're pulling a lot of the jobs out of these type of rural places that used to be the lifeblood of certain places. They used to do a lot of woodwork or metalwork or making things that we all use, that type of thing, and they all send it offshore. So a lot of these jobs that were out there now are no longer there, and these towns, that when these big factories or things like that shut down, all the talent that came to work there, they all move away because they've got to work. So they all move to different places, and it leaves almost not a ghost town, but it leaves a reduced population, and the opportunities are no longer there for anyone. There's no work unless you work telecommunication into the city or something. It's just really sad. Marjorie said the area was known for mining back in the earlier 20th century, but that industry has been pretty much abandoned for decades. It's never been a prosperous area, and the people are used to rough life. Yeah, I've seen a lot of these areas up north. Carolina said the home looks a lot like you see here in the rural areas. Yeah, I don't think it's like crazy bad or anything. I've seen a lot of this type of stuff, especially in rural Canada and Alaska. Yeah, I don't think it looks all that bad to me either. I've seen worse homes on one of my favorite shows is Homestead Rescue. You know that guy that lives in Alaska, and he goes down and fixes everyone's homesteads. He's seen way worse places than this one. And they're like, oh, they got sewerage that's pumping into your like pond or whatever. And he's like, that's a health hazard and you might die. They're like, yeah, it's been like that for like 3.5 years. He's like, yeah, that's not a good thing. So as long as they don't have raw sewage pumping into their home, it's not too bad. I'm confused by this message about who's playing tag in stripper heels. Okay. I don't know where this conversation came from about strippers, but okay. It's that type of night, Friday night, everyone. We talk about strippers. Kent says your next community would be Lansdowne. And that, I think that one is Montreal Road. Yeah, it wouldn't let me down, it wouldn't let me down. Just trying to catch up on the road. Nearest neighbors, 750 before or after. Okay, let's see. Let's go down the road a bit. Where's the next driveway? Down this road. So I don't want to give you guys motion sickness. I'll try to go a little slower. Probably here. Probably up through here, unless it's that is their property too. It's probably about 500 meters or something like that. Let's have a look. Is there another one down here? There's one here. I don't know if that's a property though, but it does say this is probably private property. That's why there's a chain. But I don't see a home back here. Maybe there's another one. Let's have a look. Let's go down Garlock Road. Or Gairlock. What's this place? Maple syrup for sale. Lansdowne Outdoor Recreational Development Association. Everyone welcome. I have some suggestions for you. The Lansdowne Outdoor Recreation Development Association. Everyone welcome. You probably need a smaller title for whatever you do. I don't think people are going to be like, hey, I traveled out there and I went all the way there so I could go to the Lansdowne Outdoor Recreational Development Association. Everyone welcome. It's a very long title for a place that could just say Lansdowne, maple syrup, and more. You could have like a shorter title. You can really get maple syrup here? Okay, well, they got a business here. That's probably what? Yeah, a mile down the road, something like that. Like most of a kilometer or something down here. So there's something here, some sort of business at least. They say maple syrup, all fishing closed. No fishing. You cannot fish. All the fish have closed. Why have they closed? Probably, I don't know. It's winter, maybe. Maybe they've all gone home. What else is down here? What does this say? Matheson Road or Natherson Road? I was hoping to find a neighbor, like someone who actually lives. It must be one of those driveways we saw. There's this little road, and then it won't let us go up there either. Apparently, Google hates us. Apparently, when Google comes out here, they don't go up any dodgy looking roads, apparently. You can only go on highways or like main roads. So that's all that's really around there. Just those couple of what looks like maybe neighbors. Maybe they're further back past the tree line. What does that say? Lansdowne Outdoor Recreation Park. Ah, and there's got camping in there. Well, you think if the kids walk through this thing, right? If they went this direction, if there's people camping out here and there's got a store and fishing area or something, there's probably people that patrol out here all day long, like talking to people visiting or whatever. That there's probably people here every day. And if kids walked up through here, they would be like, why is there two kids walking through our Lansdowne Outdoor Recreational Development Association? Everyone welcome. Why would there be two random children that walk through here? So Chipmunk says rail cars are fun. Sure. I could agree with that. Danny says I'm here. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, now that Danny's here, we can do the real show. No. Hey, my friend, how are you? I am a real ginger. I'm glad that you have confirmation on that in your life. I hope it serves you well. They say this case is so sad. I think anytime you have children who go missing, it is something that, half the time it doesn't end in anything positive. It ends up something very bad. I would say they would be. I'd say, well, they said that the socioeconomic disadvantage in this area is quite high. Can they afford an ATV? I don't know, but often people that live in these type of areas have them. I was just going to say there's a good pond there. You heard it. All the fish, they have it on the sign. All the fish are closed. Ken says it's an old recreation park. It's now closed. Oh, that's a shame. See? They close everything. Hold on. If we go back out, can we see the top of the property? No, don't do that. Yeah, let me go here. Yep. Let's go back. I'll switch the map over to the top view. All right, let's go here. So if that's their property, do they live in the front one or the back one here? It's hard to see. It's not very in focus, but there's something out the back here, and then there's that front one. So we had a look at this driveway here. That looks like it doesn't lead to anything really. Probably to someone else's property or something out the back. But that one here does lead to a property. Okay. So that's their closest neighbor. And what is that? 1491. 1491. And that was that little driveway we saw over here with the chain across it. So there's that one. And where's the... okay. So this was a recreation park. And there's a pond. There's a water source for them. And there's another one. But Kent's saying it's now not open anymore. Well, that's a shame. It looks like that would have been a fun place to camp or whatever. in the summer for the children. Actually, look at this. You got all this. I don't know if it still looks like this, but this looks like deforested area. Another water source here, right here. And then look, all the trees removed from here, this area too, and up here. Interesting that one side of this has no trees, and if you go south, north, where are we? South. If you go south, it's way more forested. But look, there's another home here too. So if they walk through here, say this was their home, and they entered the bushland here, and they walked somehow through here, they end up at a neighbor's house here at 9783 and 139. You'd end up at someone else's home. What happens if they go through here? The only way that makes sense is if they go north, because there's nothing out here. But if they go south, they run into homes. There you go. A look at the area, or at least. Deforestation, yes. OneDrive is chained and gated. You could hear them talk to it on Search's radio. Okay. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a long time for 2 little kids now. Ken says it's dead for 2 years now. That means that this photo is very old. I know it says 2025 on it, but it must be much older than that because that recreation park looks open. It looks like it's, the gates open, it looks like it's been maintained, manicured, that type of thing. Hey, Penguin. How did that happen? You're an hour late? Okay. No wildfire last year. That was closer to Halifax. So maybe just someone taking the trees out. Penguin says, how you feeling, Ping? Still getting a cold? I don't know. I sound all right today, I think. I think it was just yesterday. When I go to court, now with it being cold outside, I'm in the cold for a lot of the day, and I think I'm just not used to it. And I've been home in the warm home for a couple of days, so I think I'm feeling all right. Carolina says, I think divers search the water sources. Well, there's a few. I don't know if they did all of them, but there's a few. This is a very sad, horrific thing to have happen. I can't imagine. I'll tell you what. If they go out tomorrow morning and they come back and they're like, we didn't find anything, I will have a lot more questions than I do right now. If they come back tomorrow and that's what they say, oh, yeah, we searched for another 8 hours with like 200 people and dogs and helicopters and drones, I'll have a lot more questions than I do right now. I have some questions right now, but I'll have a lot more questions if they come back with nothing tomorrow and they're still like, yes, we believe they're out there. Yeah, they just walked away. I'll just be like, are you sure about this? I'm not sure. Chipmunk says that park would be a top place I'd search. I think so. Brian Koberger's judge has a cold with voice loss. Probably sick of yelling at the media. Did you guys see that from I always call him News Daddy, but I know he doesn't like that. Sorry. I shouldn't call him that. Brian Enton, did you guys all see that update about the Dateline violation? That Dateline violated the gag order in their episode that they released like a week ago. That they did that episode, The Night on King Road or whatever it is that they did. Now you see why I take the court stuff so seriously. Like, judges don't like when you screw with their courts, and people are all like, just tell us all the details about the children. No, I'm not going to, because I don't want to end up like Dateline, where they're starting a freaking investigation into how Dateline got that information. And they said it can only be someone from police or legal that would have had that information because of the gag order. So there's someone out there that either previously worked for police, maybe still works for the police, or worked in legal team, an assistant, someone who dealt with the information and gave it to Dateline. And they're saying this information was gag or like had a gag order on it. And if you are found to breach that, you are in so much trouble. You are in a ton, because some of this stuff could be evidence that gets relied upon in court. And then if you subjudice a jury member because they watched the Dateline episode, they can now no longer rely on that evidence in court because they already heard it outside of a courtroom. So the way they see evidence is what is presented to a jury in court, not outside of a court. So then they have to discount that or kick the juror out. So I hope that doesn't mess with the Koberger trial. Somewhat luckily, they didn't try and release that episode like 3 weeks into his trial. That would have been a bigger deal. Luckily, it sort of happened beforehand, but it's not a good thing. I mean, we all want to hear the information. I watched the episode. I thought it was a good episode, but you at the same time, you don't want to mess with a court case either. Yeah, someone is in big trouble. Someone is shitting themselves right now, going, "Oh crap, they already figured it out, and I need to run to Hawaii. I need to run away to Hawaii." Marlene says, yes, the press do not have to reveal their sources. They can be jailed, but they have big legal departments. They do. Dateline has a huge one. So I don't expect that Dateline will get into any trouble, but and they don't have to reveal their source. No, they don't. But a judge can compel you. They can also subpoena all your records. So they could subpoena all their work phones, all that type of stuff, and try and see if there's anything on their work phones, because they're not a private phone. They're a work phone, which they have to keep records for. So they could do that too. Lady missing in the Sierras for weeks was found today. Actually, DJ sent me something about. I didn't end up getting to do it because it got resolved before I went live. But there was a girl, an Amber Alert for a girl called Leilani Elliott, and but it got resolved overnight. They found her, so I didn't end up getting to do it. Carolina says, you're doing an awesome job with the Aaron Patterson trial. I appreciate it. We had 2 people unsubscribe today. I'm very confused about why they would do that. No, I get it. Some people are like, I watched what I wanted to watch, now I'm going. So I get it. I'll have a look at that in a minute, Danny. I'll have a look. Yeah, actually, Black Lady from Georgia, an avalanche? Do they have snow in Georgia? I thought it would be too far south for snow. Do they have snow in Georgia? I guess that's Atlanta, right? They have snow in winter. Okay, I get it. Hold on, let me look it up. No, that's Leilani Elliott. What was her name, Danielle? Ah, come on, computer. My computer's been doing this weird thing where I'm on one tab, but it's showing me the other. Hold on. What did he say? Missing woman. All right, hold on. Oh yeah. Let's go to KVUE, and you guys can have a look about a woman who was found in the wilderness after 3 weeks.
Of a Georgia woman who was missing for weeks wondered if they'd ever hear her voice again. She was on a solo camping trip in California when she lost contact. ABC's Andrew Dimbert explains how she kept herself alive.
A Georgia woman is safe after she was missing for 3 weeks in the California wilderness.
Yeah, give me a thumbs up. There we go. All right, we're good.
Last month, Tiffany Slayton went for a solo hike in the Sierra Nevada mountains. She was last seen on April 24th. Her family reported her missing, prompting a massive search spanning nearly 600 square miles.
We talk to Tiffany all the time, and to know that I couldn't talk to her for Mother's Day, it was really hard.
Slayton survived for weeks eating leeks in the woods. On Tuesday, she took shelter in a remote cabin as a snowstorm hit the area. And one day later,
as soon as we start making our way there, here comes Tiffany. She pops out, deer in the headlights.
She was finally found 45 miles from where she was last spotted by Christopher Gutierrez. He was checking on his property when he found one of his cabins was occupied.
She pushed through that blizzard, and the first thing she saw was a cabin. And she held up in the cabin through the night.
As he brought her down the mountain, she was able to call her dad.
She said, "Dad, I'm alive and I'm sorry, but I'm alive, and I wanted to call you and let you know that I'm alive."
Slayton was dehydrated, but otherwise okay. Turns out her 28th birthday is this week. Now she can celebrate with her family.
I can't.
Well, happy 28th birthday to her. I can't believe that's insane. 3 weeks out there. It shows you the power of humans really to survive when they have to. Wow, 3 weeks out in the mountains. That is a long time to be like, will I ever see a Walmart ever again? Laura T says, great news. Yeah, I like when people are found. Yeah, happy birthday to her. Hope she has a great birthday with her mum and dad, because her mum and dad look like they miss her a lot. Yeah, it's great ending. I like hearing stories when people are found. Hey, Jonna, how are you, my friend? Yeah, I'm glad they found her too. That's crazy. Can we see a... I just find it funny when they're like, wait, hold on. We found you, but hold on. I'm going to get the phone out. Let me take a selfie of you so I can post it on Twitter to say that we found you. And then she's like, well, I haven't done my makeup. I'm dehydrated. I've been missing for 3 weeks. You know, I feel like that's maybe the last of her concerns. She's like, no, you can't take a selfie. Only if you send it to my mom and dad. That guy would leave his cabin, yeah. Oh, come on, computer. What is going on? Hey, Candy. What's up, my friend? My computer is freezing, and I don't know why. Ah. Hold on, ladies and gents. It'll come back. There we go. Silly. Hey, Candy. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm happy she's okay. I know, right? The fact he's like, oh yeah, if someone needs to use my cabin, I rather they just walk in than break a window. Probably cheaper than having to replace a window. Retired says the girl from Utah that you're looking for in Texas. Oh, that girl I spoke about the other day, the one that said they were going to go to Nevada. She's still missing? I thought they would have found her by now. Hold on, missing girl. Missing girl, Utah. She's from Provo, right? Oh, I didn't see this update. We covered this last weekend on the show. Oh, that's not good. Here, I'm going to take you to click to Houston. And you guys got to see that. I didn't see this update. I've been busy, but holy crap, this is not good.
Jordan, Utah now say they've identified a Texas man they believe communicated with a teenage girl prior to her disappearance. They say they got the lead through a cyber tip. 15-year-old Elisa Petrov of Utah has not been seen for about 3 weeks. She is considered to be in danger. Investigators believe she may have been trying to run away to Las Vegas, though it's unclear if she ever got there. They say she had been trying to meet people she had met through social media. Police have not said if the unnamed Texas City man is a suspect in her disappearance. We spoke to Elisa's parents yesterday. They told us they just want their daughter to return home safely.
Yeah, we have no contacts of Alisa, which very upsetting. She's not using her social media that she was really attached to.
Please come back, and whoever is holding her, they should probably just let her go, because this is just really wrong. This is not right.
FBI Salt Lake City is now partnering with Texas City Police to find Elisa and bring her home safely. If you know anything about her disappearance, please call police immediately.
Well, that's concerning. Very concerning. The fact that she was supposed to be, you know, I don't know, I just find that really strange that they've identified a man who they think could have been talking to her online and maybe involved in where she wanted to go, but they're all like, yeah, he's just a guy. Are you going to bring him in? Nah. Do you know who he is? Yeah. Do you want to tell us who he is? Nah, we're good. It's like, yeah, tell us who he is. Why is he talking to a young girl online? I think we should all know about people who do that type of thing. He should be named and shamed. Online, he should be. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Let me check this out. What does it say? 15-year-old girl who was reported missing in April may have communicated with a man living in Texas, according to a cyber tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Alyssa Petrov was reportedly last seen walking away from her American Folk School on Monday, April 21. Detectives said she brought items at a nearby gas station before boarding a UTA train and getting off at the station in Provo. Petrov may have been trying to get to Las Vegas, Nevada. They say South Jordan police reportedly received new information via a cyber tip that authorities in Texas have reason to believe that she was communicating with a man in Texas. They have identified the individual and launched an investigation into the matter. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I remember last weekend they said that they believe that she may have been contacting people online at some point, like to meet up with them. So here's a photo of her, by the way. This is a photo, not a scented photo. Apparently we're not allowed to have scented photos anymore. But this is a high-res photo of her. So if you live in Utah, if you live in Texas, or you live in Nevada, and you see this young lady, call it in to your local police and just say, hey, it's about a girl that went missing. Her name, last name is Petrov, and try and get that information to the police because she's got to be around somewhere. That no one cited her. They haven't found anything from hers. They just know that she's been talking to people online. So she's got to be around somewhere. Even if she is with someone else, she's got to be leaving the home. I'm sure of it. Oh, a Pennsylvania teenager who was missing for 3 months was found safe in Georgia. There's been a few of those. That is good news, though. There's been a few of those where like teenagers have gone missing and just ended up being found, but not in a good way. Hold on. Yeah, I can't say that, but I get what you're saying. Retired Aaron says, thanks for covering this. Yeah, I can't believe that they found a guy in Texas now. Very concerning. Here, I'll show you some other photos of her. Here you go. There's another high-res photo of the young girl. Do we have a tip line for her? That's great. Here. They're saying that if you see her or have any information regarding her whereabouts, her case number is SJ25-11568. And they want you to reach out to the Salt Lake Valley Emergency Communications Center at 801-840-4000. So if you have any information on the girl you see on your screen, either take down that case number and then ring that number and quote it to them and say, hey, I saw that girl. She was with a guy or somewhere. She was in a supermarket. Get that information to them. She needs to go home to her mom and dad. She needs to be safe, not whatever she's doing. I don't know what she's doing, but yeah, I think I saw Mel. I think I saw Mel covering that earlier today. Shout out to Mel. I don't know what he's up to right now, but I saw him covering the 11 inmates that escaped from a prison in Louisiana. I saw him doing a live stream about that before. Aubrey Wu is Aubrey Wu. Why does that sound so familiar? Why does that sound so familiar? Why does that sound so familiar? Aubrey. Oh, yeah, we did. I think we did this when it happened, when they found her. When they said there was an investigation into her parents, right? Yeah, I think we did this when she was originally found in April. And they said that there's some sort of investigation into her mom and dad, or her dad. There's some sort of police investigation into her parents. Yeah, I was pretty sure we did it at the time. That's right. I was like, why do I know that name? One case we haven't heard a lot of. Do you remember about a year ago we covered a young Asian girl from California that went missing? Do you guys remember that? It was this little teenage girl, and she went missing from a very like ritzy place in California. You haven't heard a lot about her since last year. I had no idea what happened to her. She was in the middle of a custody battle between her father and her mother. She wanted to live with the father, but the mother had gained custody rights or medical rights over the daughter, and she was like freaking out about her mom. Do you guys remember that one? It was like last year. I don't know if we ever got an update about it. Hold on, missing. No, not Hannah Kobayashi. That's not it. Oh, Alison Chow. Do you remember that? Alison Chow. We did that one last year. There's been like no updates. I hope she's doing really well, but I haven't heard anything about it since last July. Her father ended up being charged with child abduction. If you guys remember that. If you guys remember that case from, yeah, she was holed up at her dad's place. Yeah, that seemed like the most likely thing of what went down. She wasn't missing. It seems like her father was probably moving her around to family members' properties when the police came or something like that. Yeah, it seems like it was a big custody dispute, basically. Here's a final update that I was able to find.
Father of a Monterey Park teen who disappeared for a week has now been charged today with child felony abduction and falsely filing a missing persons report. Jeffrey Chow was in a downtown LA courtroom where he entered a not guilty plea earlier this month. Search parties looked for his 15-year-old daughter Allison for a week after he reported her missing. She was finally located in Glendale by Glendale PD. Shortly thereafter, Chow was arrested in connection with her disappearance. Well, we caught up with his attorney outside court.
It was either no bail and him being in in jail until we resolve this case, or have bail granted. So, of course, I wanted lesser, but we were successful in getting bail for Mr. Chow. But the plan is to have him bailed out this evening.
As for Allison, she is reported safe and with family. We know that Chow and his wife are in the middle of a divorce and child custody battle, and Allison's mom was recently awarded full custody.
So I don't know if that was sort of a case of parental alienation that was going on. She had lived with her father for a long period of time. I think it was a few years. And I think there may have been some sort of poisoning of the daughter against the mother in this custody dispute. And it just shows you how sad these custody battles can get. In the end, the child loses out because now she doesn't have her father. He's bloody in jail and on bail and probably going to end up with a criminal record. And the daughter ends up with just one parent, most likely, because he's probably going to be in a lot of trouble. It seems like a very sad case of adults not putting the children first and then trying to use their own priorities, in front of the child. It'd be nice if people just put the children first and not try and mask their own issues as I'm doing it for my daughter. Like there's doing the right thing and taking care of your kid and putting them first, and then there's masking custody battle issues as it's the right thing for the kid. Like look what happened. You end up causing a week-long search, wasting police time, and stuff like that. The mom was going to put her in a hospital. Wow. I don't know how much of that was real. I don't know if she was going to put her in a hospital or just get her mentally checked out. I think the mom was worried that some of her psychiatric issues were being amplified by the dad, and I think that's what the mom was worried about. Not saying the mom's a good person either. I think they're both using the child in a negative way in a custody battle, but I think it was more like to get her checked out because of some of the things she'd been saying and some of the thoughts that she'd been displaying, actions, behavior, stuff like that. So I think the mom wanted her to be looked at. Yeah, I think they're both very selfish, both of them. Wow. It's hard when you only see the surface of these cases. It's very easy to judge and say like, "Well, that's what we heard. We heard that she wanted to be with her dad and her mom sucked ass." Like, you don't know. Like, it could be a very complex case. A lot of it is sealed by the court because it's a child case, so a lot of it will never ever get to hear because it's been sealed by the court. It's very, very hard when you take a very front-on view at looking at something. While it looks very dramatic and very worrying for Allison, it's very hard to know where the adults are actually, where they lie on the spectrum of being a crap parent and being the right thing, because sometimes things that look bad can be the right thing, and sometimes things that look like the right thing can actually be the bad thing, especially in a custody battle. You just never know. Like, that's why I always try and be cautious when we're talking about child custody issues, because parental alienation is a real thing, and a lot of parents do pollute their child with bad thoughts against the other parent, and it can make children do all sorts of things that look like it's in the favor of one parent, and in the other parent looks like the bad guy, but it's really not. So I don't think any of us truly fully know what's going on with Allison. I think it's the courts know, and hopefully they'll deal with it appropriately. But yeah, it was a sad situation all around. The one that loses out is Allison. So yeah. Gail said, I didn't like what the dad did, but it was all screwed up. Nobody should get her. She's almost at an age where she can decide for herself anyway. She's almost at it. She'll be 16 this year, and she's almost at an age where she can decide for herself. So it's not that far away. Hopefully she's getting support through the court now after such a dramatic episode with all of them, that maybe they'll take her voice more seriously now. But she's very close to the age where she can make her own decisions and live where she wants to live, do what she wants to do, get the medical care that she wants to get. It will be up to her in not a very long period of time. Lee says, I'm glad Allison was safe too, but sad circumstances. Yeah, it is very sad. Marjorie said, I agree. Outsiders don't know what's going on with the family, and we really have no right to that private information. That's why court records for children are sealed. That's why when you have like a court, anything to do with children most likely gets sealed, because the children are entitled to a right of privacy until they become adults. And they, even in something as dramatic as this, they deserve to have that shield of privacy enacted by everyone, including podcasters, me, YouTubers. Like, we covered her case, and at the time it felt like something we should do, but on reflection, you just never know. And I think some of the details that came out later on sort of painted a picture of a young girl being used in a tug of war between two parents, and them both using the child as almost like a weapon. And I think that's very, very sad. I think you got to remember here, when adult relationships break down, it doesn't mean you stop being a parent or you stop trying to put that child first. It just means that your relationship with the mother or the father is breaking down, not with the kid. And the kids still need you to be the strong adult and guiding light in their life, not become some crazed lunatic because you're not winning in court. So Chipmunk says too many kids get screwed out of a good childhood. Well, hopefully she's almost at that age where she can do what she wants to do. So let's hope so. All right. Let me see what else I got on my list of true crime for tonight. What else have we got? Okay, we could do this one. I like crazy people. Let's see. Can I get this one? Yeah. Let's go to KRTV. And I'll play you this.
And we have more information about a gruesome murder that happened this past weekend in Billings. A man was found dead in a burned out trailer home. 33-year-old Justin Alexander Hosey is facing deliberate homicide charges in the case. According to charging documents, investigators were alerted to Hosey after he admitted to a gas station clerk he had tied up the victim and lit him on fire. Investigators say they were also contacted by a witness from out of state who said he received a call from Hosey saying that he had gotten the victim high, tied him up, poured gas in the house, and set it on fire after he made a comment about a 13-year-old girl. Investigators also say surveillance footage appeared to show Hosey driving away from the residence as it burned. Hosey was later arrested at the Love's truck stop in Hardin. The coroner says the 62-year-old victim, who has not been identified, was still alive at the time he was set on fire.
All right. Did you catch that? Let me read you a little bit. They say a Montana man has been charged with drugging and burning a 62-year-old amputee alive in a mobile home for allegedly making a comment about a teen girl. James A. Hosey, 32, was arrested on Monday on one count each of homicide, arson, theft, and tampering with evidence in the death of Michael Lee Huston. They say the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office said it was called along with firefighters around 7 a.m. on Saturday. The firefighters extinguished the blaze and found the man's body inside. Evidence at the scene indicated that foul play was likely a factor. Investigators were able to identify a person of interest and put out a description of the vehicle that the individual was possibly driving. A Montana Highway Patrol trooper located the vehicle and the individual in Bighorn County and took him into custody shortly after noon on Saturday. Court documents say a gas station attendant tipped off police to Hosey's involvement in Huston's death, Huston. She told the investigators that Hosey was a regular customer at the station and told her he tied someone up and set them on fire. Hosey also allegedly called a friend in Michigan and admitted to killing the man over remarks the victim reportedly made about a 13-year-old girl. And he says here, so I went over and got him high on the brink of passing out, tied him up, beat his ass, and poured gas in the house and set him on fire. And that was according to the court documents. An amputee man. He drugged him, beat the crap out of him, and then poured gas all over him and set him and the home alight, killing him. What is wrong with people? SP Mom says so much crazy here. Yeah, there is a lot of crazy. Nalana says, have you ever seen 169-year-old plantation home burned down in Louisiana? I didn't see that. It is horrendous, right? SP Mom said, I'm in Montana about 2 hours away from Billings, but not surprised. Well, we had that murder last year up in Montana that I covered. I haven't heard a lot about it since last year, but there was a guy who was camping in Montana, and a guy came and attacked him with an axe and basically killed him with an axe. Do you guys remember this one? We covered it middle of last year in Montana. It was one of the craziest stories. It was in Big Sky, Montana last year. Dustin Jome, 35-year-old Dustin Jome, he was found last year, and it was like, it looked like a bear attack. When his friend found him in the tent, they thought it was a bear attack, but it wasn't. A guy had attacked him with an axe and killed him. One of the craziest stories I think I read last year. Dustin Cursum is his name. Let's see. And they arrested a suspect a couple of weeks later. Yeah, I'll show you a short thing about it if I can find something. Yeah. They did end up arresting a guy for it, and the guy was we did some investigation into him. He'd been done in the early 2000s for something very similar. Very violent guy who had attacked people several times before and had a real violent streak. And he ended up attacking this guy Dustin too and killing him. But they thought it was a bear attack.
October 12th, 35-year-old Dustin Mitchell Jersum was found dead in his tent while camping near Big Sky. Here at this camping spot off the beaten path remains flags marking the area of the investigation. As investigators crack open the case, the chilling details of the Moose Creek homicide have gone viral.
Well, something like this, because of it's a fairly unusual case. They are absolutely reaching out from all over the country. We've had a number of different the New York Times and Good Morning America and a few of these other places reaching out, asking us questions.
Sheriff Dan Springer says despite the cross-continental traction,
but on the same side, it is still probably a local issue. There's nothing to indicate that this is nothing but a local issue.
Sheriff Springer goes on to say that this case is unusual.
Certainly the location and the violence are the two things that are the most concerning. Very violent act in a very remote area, which is very unusual. And so those are concerning. But on the same side.
Yeah, let me see if I can show you the guy they arrested. Hold on. Yeah, Darren Abbey. And I remember we found like old criminal records for Darren Christopher Abbey. He ended up being arrested for the death of Dustin. He was charged with 1 count of deliberate homicide, 2 counts of tampering or fabricating physical evidence. But he had done some really bad stuff in the past. Like, if I can find it, I don't know if I can find it again, but it was years and years ago that he had been arrested for some. He was also a self-proclaimed white, white power type thing, but he had a really nasty background. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. Might not be able to find it anymore, but he had a record dating back. Apparently, in November, I didn't see this update, but he pleaded not guilty and said it was self-defense. Get lost. As if. And apparently, it's set to go to trial too. I did not hear. There's a video of him. Is this? No, that's a different guy. I thought it was him for a second. Here he is. This is him, Darren Abbey. But they're saying the trial for Darren Abbey connected to the homicide of Dustin is set to begin on November 3rd this year, 2025, at the Gallatin County Justice Center. So they've scheduled the trial to run from November 3rd to 14, and the state and Abbey's defense appeared at the hearing to discuss trial details. Abbey was initially arrested in October on charges unrelated to Dustin's homicide. However, DNA was found on a beer can at the crime scene that matched Abbey, linking him to the case. According to charging documents, he claimed he killed Dustin in self-defense using an axe, screwdriver, and firewood. Despite his claim, Abbey lacked self-defense wounds. Interesting. I hope they absolutely. I will look forward to this trial later this year. We will cover it. We will cover it. Yeah, it's brutal. He's a self-described white supremacist, and he claims that Dustin tried to kill him. Okay, whatever. And they say, no. Yeah. So, okay, that's going on trial later this year. I didn't see that update earlier, but that's good. We will go to trial for that particular case in November. So. He took notes on the pilot case in your country. Who took notes? What? I'm so confused. Who took notes about what? Who are you talking about? Oh, profiling evil? You guys are going to have to make more sense, but I'm interested to know who took notes on the pilot who killed Russell Hill and Carol Clay, which ended up being a split verdict. It was guilty on Carol Clay for murder and not guilty on Russell Hill for murder. So it was a split verdict by that jury last year. You might be interested in covering the Samuel Holster. I can't pronounce his last name, so maybe I won't be interested. Trial coming up. You're looking for a kind of an unusual case. I'll have a look. I'm trying to see if... Okay, I didn't know that Profiling Evil covered it. Okay. I will be looking forward to that trial later this year because we covered it pretty extensively when Dustin was originally found. We did a lot of the early coverage on it, I think before a lot of other people had covered it. So let me see. All right. All right. I think we're almost done for this Friday night. I don't have too much more to tell you. I wish I had some more things. Not the former Jetstar pilot. Okay. I wish I had some more information to tell you about Aaron Patterson, but Friday was a really quiet day. We didn't do a ton. There was a lot of legal argument and stuff like that happening for a lot of the day. We're starting to get to the sort of pointy end of the trial, and there's a lot more like objections and things like that. There's just a lot of things going on that are sort of slowing it down a little bit. So we'll see what happens on Monday, but that's normal in any case. That's how trials work. So we'll see what happens. I still don't know an ending date or how fast it's going. The judge hasn't told us. We'll see on Monday if they give us an update. They haven't so far. Yeah. SP Mom said, I am up for jury duty. It says, I wonder if I'm up for that one. They went, choose. It's interesting. I had a family member that was up for jury duty at a case on Monday. And they did the first day of jury duty. They pulled in, I think, like 30 people or something. But she wasn't chosen for the jury duty, unfortunately. She was a little sad. She wanted to do the case and get out of work for a while. Apparently it was going to run for like a month. It was a pretty big case, and they were going to do a month trial, and she was going to get out of work for a month. And she's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to go to court. But she didn't get selected. She did the first day on Monday, and she got discounted pretty quickly, apparently. The prosecution or the defense didn't want her, so they called out her number and asked her to leave. So she did not get picked up. They must have been looking for some other type of person that wasn't her. Lee says, is an Amish man charged with this only? Okay. We did a case last year in Amish country. There was a woman that was killed in her home. Do you guys remember this? Was her name Rebecca? That seems to come to mind. She was killed in her home about a year ago. Hold on. Amish woman killed in her home. Yeah, Rebecca Byler. It was in 2024. I don't know. We're doing a bit of a recap night tonight. Apparently, Sean Cranston is set to go to trial over that one. Here's a photo of him. He is accused of killing Rebecca in her home. When is he due to go to trial? Okay, I just want to know when they're going to trial. Okay. I don't know. I thought they had a trial date. It sounds like it's been in the courts though over the last half a year, but yeah, Sean Christian Becky Byler. Yeah, she was pregnant at the time too. This lady was pregnant, unfortunately. Apparently the trial was supposed to happen in February of this year, but it got postponed. When did they postpone it to? So in February of this year, they directed the Commonwealth to file a more detailed motion with specific details on the prior thefts, break-ins, and threatening use of firearm by the defendant. According to one of the witnesses, Cranston had a meth issue and was shed hopping or breaking into sheds, garages, and houses to take items, probably to fund his habits. According to witness statements, Cranston reportedly went to Byler's residence because his girl told him there was money there, and after arriving, he slammed his car door so anyone inside the house would hear it and come out. Byler did not come out, and Cranston entered the house where he reportedly encountered Byler, and a struggle ensued. Cranston reportedly got behind Byler and sliced her throat first, then shot her in the head. Prosecutors outlined in the motion from the witness alleged statements. The second witness, according to information in the amended motion, said Cranston admitted to getting high on meth and burglarizing places, and was reportedly told by his girlfriend that money was in the house and no one would be home. But when Cranston went inside the house, there was a lady inside, and a fight occurred between the lady, who was Rebecca, and Cranston, wherein the defendant said he had to bleed her out. What do you mean you had to bleed her out? She's a pregnant woman. Just leave her alone. What do you mean you had to bleed her out? I think the Commonwealth needs to hurry up and file that motion so we can get to trial. What an absolute disgusting excuse for a human this guy is, Cranston. He did that to a defenseless pregnant lady in her home that she was home alone at the time with her children. And he slit her throat and then shot her. And because he had to bleed her out. Where is Mr. Zappy or spicy injection when you need it? Because it's needed right here. It really is. You guys have those laws, we don't. Sometimes it's good just to say goodbye to people. Yeah, I can't. I will definitely be covering this trial when it pops up, when they actually get through to trial. What an absolute piece of crap that guy is. Getting high on methamphetamine and robbing houses. What a scumbag. Like, I get addiction is one thing. I get it. It's a disease and all that, and people struggle with it. I understand fully. I don't understand fully about breaking into a woman's home while she's alone, and then when you are confronted by her, you slice her throat and then shoot her. That I don't understand. And you can't blame your addiction on that. You can blame it on the stealing and the theft, fine. I sort of, I get it. But there's no reason you had to kill that woman. What was she going to do? ID you? A person she's never met before. What is she going to do? Tell them that you're a bald-head white guy? What? The 40 million of them that live in America? Well, oh my God, they might find you. It's overkill. It's overkill for the situation. He could have just walked out the door and gone home. What would he get done with? Just another break and enter, most likely. Instead, you put that woman through an excruciating, horrific death in front of her children. For that, you will now be judged in the court of law, and hopefully they'll get the right result here. And then hopefully we'll see what his sentence is. Far out. Ugh. Some people are just scumbags, really, scumbags. We'll see what happens there. That happened in February where they had a pre-trial conference, and then they were supposed to submit a new motion with more specific details, but it doesn't seem like they've done it, or it hasn't come back up at court yet. Here, let me just double check they're not going to go to trial. So they had a preliminary hearing on March 15. It ended up being delayed to March 2025. Suspect is scheduled to go to trial in March 2025, but that got delayed. Here, trial and killing will not occur before November. They're saying here that the trial will not occur before November of this year. That's a shame. Apparently, they're trying to give Sean C. Cranston's lawyer significant time to review and investigate the large amounts of evidence the defense has received from the prosecution, according to the judge. So they're set to have a pretrial conference June 24 at the Crawford County Judicial Center in Meadville. So that'll be the next time he's due in court in June. And then we should get, because it's a pretrial conference, we should either get another date for another pretrial get together, or they should set a date for trial and then continue with the pretrial process. So we'll see in June. Hopefully we get a trial date. Oh no, that's not good. All right. All right. Let's get out of here for the night. Let me just check the payment thing just to make sure. I didn't see anything, but I just don't want people to say, you didn't say thanks. I don't want to do that to people. All right. Okay. Hey, I love you all. Have a great Saturday if you're in America, Saturday tomorrow. If you're in Australia, have a great rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening. And I'll be back on Sunday for another late show with Ping. And then the day after that, I'm back in court. There is no day off on Monday this week. We're back on Monday, not Tuesday like last week. So this week will be a full week. We're going to have a very busy week at court, I think. And I'll be back with more Aaron Patterson news on Monday. Let me know if you liked. So when I did the DFFH information, if you preferred that to the long version of the notes, let me know, and I will do more of that type of thing, because I've found a way of like simplifying the notes a little bit more and can get through them in like 10-15 minutes. But some people like the long details, some people like the sort of bullet point version, so you have to let me know. But I hope I filled in okay for Trish tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow for Saturday night episode of the Late Show. And then on Monday, it'll be back to day 13 of the Aaron Patterson trial. Hey, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great weekend out there. Get some sleep. And if you're in the America, enjoy your spring weather. Get out there and enjoy the fresh air, and remove yourself from hibernation. Get out there and enjoy something. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for a Saturday night episode. Good night, everyone. Bye.